Hey, Dave Melinda here, Positive Polarity. How you doing? Hope things are going well for you. So, as a business coach, I just wanted to check in with you and talk with you today about the hiring process and specifically how we can use assessments to be able to improve your success rate when you're looking for people to fill a position. So we use what's called a DISC assessment. Some of you may have utilized those in the past. We're using the TTI version of it, which is actually pretty in depth. I've looked at other ones and I really prefer this. But I wanted you to be able to understand why this is so powerful and, quite frankly, how we can help you with your hiring. So I just want to run through 8 or 9 different components of this assessment quickly so that you can get a feel for how well this would work for your team, also how well it would work in your hiring component. So first of all, the assessment starts out with explaining what DISC is. We're not going to get into that today. I want to talk specifically about some of these options that you have in this. And one of the first ones is actually thinking about the value that this individual brings to the organization. And I know when we're in the hiring process, I've hired hundreds of people, been in hundreds of interviews in my life, and I know that most people bring their absolute A game when they are in front of a prospective employer, which is fine. I'm totally fine with that. The interesting thing is sometimes people do more than they should and say more than they should. So in this situation, we start with something called the value to the organization. What value does this human being in front of me bring to the organization? And I think that that's a real powerful place to start, because think of it for yourself. If somebody came up to you and said, "What value are you to this organization?" you potentially could have a challenge in answering that. This helps articulate your answer for you. It gives you probably a dozen different bullet points, and you can pick and choose which ones you like. And in this case, again, I think it works really well to have a person in front of you being able to identify what their strengths are and what values they add to the organization. So that's where we start. The next piece then is actually how to and how not to communicate with this person. Think about that for a second for yourself. When's the last time somebody came up to you and said, "Hey, what's the best way for me to communicate with you? What is the absolute worst way for me to communicate with you?" We're so busy talking and so busy trying to listen that a lot of times we don't catch what type of person we're communicating with, and what we share with them potentially can blow right by. So they give you a list of, again, could be up to a dozen bullet points on how to and how not to communicate with you. So the cool part of that is that you're able to have your team create a list. So if I knew that I was going to meet with Joe in an hour, I could go to my list and say, okay, I know Joe likes me to talk a little bit of business, talk a little bit of personal, or Joe doesn't like personal at all, or whatever. There's a variety of different things. This really helps you understand the potential new player that's coming onto your team. And if they come onto your team, we have a built-in mechanism already to be able to feel the way through communication. Think of your current team. There's certain people you can communicate with, you know how to communicate, and then there's probably certain people that you don't. Our suggestion here is to create a list for everybody on ways to and ways not to communicate. Works really well. Coupling with that is because there's 4 primary personality styles, D and I and S and C. We're able to create a little bit of dialogue on the best way to communicate with each one of those individual personality types. So that really helps round out that communication piece on the front end. Now, in addition to that, there's a spot in there for time wasters, probably 3 or 4 pages about how this particular person that filled out the assessment, what some potential time struggles they might have. When I do my time management training, you can find ways to take back about an hour a day of actual time. Now, that's fantastic when you think about that over the course of a year and how much more you can get done without working more. And these time wasters go into specific detail and help the person that you're communicating with talk to them about their actual time wasters. Specifically, when you're looking to hire somebody, this is a great opportunity now as well to be able to have that help. So you're talking to a prospective employee and a prospective team member, and you ask them about their time management skills, and they most likely are going to say it's all good. Sometimes I've heard a lot of people say I work too much if that's my weakness. Well, this uncovers that and then unpacks that for us. So it works out really well. The next one is areas of improvement. Now that is a good one as well, because when people in an interview, when you say, hey, what's your biggest weakness? You know, people are going to say things like, I care too much, or I work too much, or whatever it is that, you know, can be a positive or a negative. So this gives us some areas of improvement. If you do hire the individual, I highly suggest that you use that as a coaching tool to move that individual forward in their career. The next couple then move into really help for you as the leader if you are leading people. There is what's called the ideal environment. So I liken it to this. You wouldn't buy a rose and plant it in sand and water it once a month. Just like you wouldn't buy a cactus, put it in dirt and water it every day. Different people have different environments. And when we don't take that into account on our team, we tend to get frustration. And when we get frustration, we get this. And when that happens, it's because our unemployment rate is so low, people tend to leave frustrated. And that's the last thing that we want for a multiple reasons, which we won't get into today. So look at those and uncover with this candidate or this team member what these ideal environments actually are, so that you're able to maximize and do the best possible for this individual. And if it's in today's tough climate, if you're struggling to get candidates, and candidates pick between you and another company, and you're able to offer them a unique environment, whatever that means to them, we're sitting down listening to them. We're creating a plan for them, which is way better than saying, this is the way it is around here, walk this way. So it tends to be much more successful for long-term team engagement, especially at the hiring start. So the next one then is what motivates this individual. We all tend to think that whatever motivates me will motivate somebody else. So let's just say, for the sake of the conversation, that I'm motivated by money. If I'm motivated by money and I hire and I'm sitting across from Joe and I think that Joe's motivated by money, I'm not going to potentially be dialed into Joe because I don't know what motivates him. I'm making an assumption. Maybe time off motivates him. Maybe education motivates him. Maybe freedom motivates him. Not sure what motivates him. We need to unpack that, and this helps with that. So then the last one is how to manage that person. Again, we make the assumption that everybody is the same. We manage the same. We tend to talk to people the same way. And when we don't realize that everybody's custom, we tend to struggle with this. So those are really 9 quick ways to use your assessment. Now, the best part about it is on the back end then, as we close today, is the action plan. Let's take all this information and do something with it. Let's create a personal development plan. Let's create a team development plan. Let's really get these people engaged. This particular person we're trying to hire, if you invest money to put this assessment and they do the assessment, and then you invest time and energy on the back end to go through this with them, you are setting yourself up so much higher than other people trying to hire this individual. So do yourself a favor, jump into looking into more about DISC. It's a huge help when you're talking to people about hiring. Do they fit on our team? Do they fit and do they qualify for the opportunity and the role that they have? How are they going to be getting along with other people, and what's going to motivate them and have them do the absolute best that they can do for themselves, for our customers, and for our team. So hopefully this was helpful. There's a ton of information here. The assessment is 50, 60 pages, so it's almost daunting, but I'll be happy to walk you through it, and I'll be happy to help any way I can. So if you're in the hiring mode, consider using an assessment like DISC, and we'll be happy to help. If you have any questions, give me a call, 414-322-2358, or shoot me an email at dave@positivepolarity.com, where business growth is manifested. Have a great day. Thank you.